Hi guys, Rene here and welcome to the workshop. Today I'm going to talk about my S-Works Recon mountain bike shoes, which I've had almost for a year now, or at least for a good part of the season, and I've done many miles in it. So I just wanted to put some info out because there's not much really on how they perform in the real world. So this is basically the off-road going version of the very popular S-Works 7 road shoe, and it's super similar in many aspects. All the construction, the Dyneema upper, the custom aluminum boa dials, and well, all the main parts of the construction are essentially the same. What is different, of course, with the off-road aim is the sole, which has rubber bumpers on it, rubber grippers, the toe spikes, and there's some more protection up front from the impacts. And it appears like instead of the UD type of carbon that the road soles are made of, this is more of a weave type. So I think this is basically because it's more resistant to these impact and rock strikes that you encounter when riding off-road. So previously I've been using the Giro Empire VR90s, which I have really liked. There were a couple of features I didn't like about them, and that was namely the quite narrow front end, which I don't have particularly wide feet, but when I got the Giros in my preferred size, they were still a bit too narrow. And for marathon racing, you really want to have the boa dials on there, because if you're on the bike for 4 or 5, in some cases even 6 hours, your feet are going to swell in the heat, and it's not going to be very practical wearing lace-up shoes. My concern with the boas was how well do they put up with dirt and contamination. That hasn't really been an issue, although in some cases and sometimes after a couple of rides there has been some roughness and squeakiness. Maybe you can hear that now, but this can be addressed with a bit of a clean, a wash. I've been using a Teflon dry lube on there to help them running smoothly, and so far I don't have to dismantle them or surface them, replace them, anything like that. So they work. So that was one of my concerns. Dissolved basically. As for the rest of the shoe and the durability of it, no part of the construction has come off, no gluing has come off, no stitching has come off, nothing is undone. As you can see, or in any off-road product that you use, it's not like on the road that you ride forever and if you pay attention you keep your equipment pristine. Unfortunately, when riding off-road you encounter some nasty stuff, so it's going to show up. Scratches, dents, hits, scuffing from the mud, branches. Basically it's all in there, but the shoes overall still look pretty good. So how do they actually perform? Well, first I'm going to talk about mountain biking, which is my first kind of use that I've put them to, and more specifically marathon racing. Now these shoes paired with the Look pedals that I started using make for a completely rock solid feel. It's basically like a road pedal and shoe interface. Super stiff, super efficient, just beautiful really. The shoes are pretty light too. What I've noticed in cooler weather, that they are very well ventilated, which, yeah, when it's cold isn't that much of an advantage, but in hot summer racing conditions it's perfect. I didn't have any burning sensation at all. What I did notice was that despite the fact that some padding has been added in the tongue area and on the heel area compared to the S-Works 6 version, these still took a considerable amount of braking time. Whereas in braking time I mean that in the first, I would say, 20 hours of riding them, I was getting my skin blistered up in this area near the tongue and on the heel area sometimes. But after that these parts of the shoe soften up and conform to my feet, so after that the fit was just perfect. So that's definitely a good point. So yeah, this is basically from the performance and power transfer perspective. I don't think you can really go wrong. For gravel racing, I also think it's a great shoe if your type of gravel requires that. Of course, you can still go with road shoes and pedals in many cases. I had a couple of rock strikes and kind of pieces of wood slamming on my feet. You can feel that a little bit. This bumper is not too stiff, but I had no big issues there, just a bit of pain when that happened. So probably any light cross-country shoe wouldn't be much better in that regard. So yeah, there is some protection, of course not as much as in a enduro downhill rated shoe. Then if you move on to the later part of the season, I started using these in cyclocross. I was again a bit worried with the mud ingress coming into the pedals, but yeah, still holding on fine, so no problem. Of course, the power transfer and comfort you can also appreciate, even in the short cross race. The power transfer mostly in those burst efforts out from the corners. Unclipping and getting off the bike and the interface with the pedals has been spot on, no problems there. But when I find a big drawback compared to my previous Giros is on foot grip and just walking in general. I wouldn't say these are the best cyclocross shoes on the market because compared to the Giros, running up steep slopes in slippery mud, more so when it's a kind of a hard packed surface just raining on it, very slick conditions. But the Giro sole was even in those conditions it was quite grippy. This not so much, actually fell on my feet twice in these shoes. I think this because these front lugs are, well, they're super stiff. The rear one is much softer. The toe spikes on this hard packed surface kind of just get in the way. So really not the best grip on foot, and because of the extreme stiffness of the sole, it's not so easy or comfortable to run on hard surfaces. So to sum it up, excellent comfort, power transfer, and quite good durability so far. Unfortunately, none of the lugs are replaceable, so we'll see how long that lasts. And the balls are fine, the material is tough. So excellent, really a top shoe for mountain bike racing, XCO, marathon, gravel maybe, long distance events. Great shoe, excellent. I really think really worth the price. If you're looking for a cyclocross shoe, I think you should look for something that has a less of a super stiff sole and more rubber on there, more grippy rubber, and a different design of the toe spikes, because yeah, not the best shoe for those steep run-ups, but maybe I'll look for an alternative for that use for the winter months. Okay, so this has been my review of the S-Works Recon shoe from Specialized. I hope you have found this information useful, and if you want to know more about the equipment that I use for my training and racing, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's all for today, and see you next time.